you voting for
I'm
president?
voting for Donald Trump. If I have to vote from him from the jail cell,
Yeah.
I'm voting for him.
How about you?
Same here.
Same here.
We're gonna
Okay.
work to straighten this mess out.
That's right.
That's right. He's number one.
For a long time, it's been said of Trump supporters that there is nothing Donald could do, not shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, for example, that would extinguish their support for him. But this was always hypothetical, right? We never thought he would do something like that. Trump being jailed was something that liberals in 2017 only dreamed about, but we are getting closer and closer to that reality as the chances rise that Donald Trump will be in jail by the time of the 2024 election. And where will his supporters be on election day? Right there casting their ballots for him. And despite the serious chance of Trump having to serve prison time in the future, he's certainly enjoying himself on the campaign trail, basically making a mockery of the charges against him. The last year alone has changed the standards so much of what we expect from our politicians. If you told any of us just a few years ago that a former president would be in this much legal jeopardy, we'd have thought you were insane. And then tell that past you that the candidate is Donald Trump and he's running away with the GOP nomination for the second time and has a real chance of winning the White House. We are living in insane times indeed. People like these men in Marjorie Taylor Greene's home state of Georgia have an undying loyalty to Trump that will follow him from the polls to prison, and it's unlike anything we've seen in politics for probably over 100 years. As I reported last week, there has been one serious candidate who ran for president from prison, the early 20th century socialist Eugene Debs, but even that populist leader didn't come close to inspiring the same levels of devotion and loyalty among his supporters. I think to find any parallels, you'd have to look to Europe and their divine monarchies. And speaking of Europe, just yesterday in a speech in New Hampshire, Trump used his platform to talk about how he'd actually much rather be over there than in this country.
They know it's a phony story. They know it's a phony story. They say he's going to go to jail. These are not Mrs. Lewandowski. You hear that? Can you imagine if that were these kids? Can you imagine look what your husband got me into? I could have been relaxing at Mar-a-Lago or in the south of France, which I would prefer being in this country, frankly.
Trump relies on people whose loyalty to him is unquestioned, and yet he openly says that he doesn't even want to be in America right now. Of course, it's this humor and snarkiness that has ultimately built his base of support, and that's why it's so confusing to those not in the Trump cult. He literally uses his stage to disparage his own country, the country he's running to be the leader of. And while we may not understand the appeal of this twisted sense of humor and the illogical way Trump runs his campaigns, it doesn't make it any less dangerous. And as I said, and will continue to say until next year, we will underestimate Trump's tactics to our own detriment. For more of my coverage on The Breakdown, stay right here. You can watch my latest video where a deranged Republican crumbles during his Iowa speech by clicking on the link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.